Almost live. There we go, we're live. Hey YouTube, just got off work and I'm walking home again doing another Let's Talk. And I'm gonna get Panda Express, but there's something smells really good from KFC. It smells like those biscuits that they have. But I want Panda. That or the number 12 carne asadas from Rancheritos, but I'm gonna go Panda. So anyways, in this Let's Talk, I wanted to talk about the most important thing that the world needs to do right now. And that important, very, very, very important thing the world needs to do right now is slow down. Like, seriously. Things, drivers and everybody in a hurry, not just drivers, people walking around it. This is going to be very ranty, and this is something that makes me a little bit heated and a little bit angry, and it really bothers me. Growing up as a kid, most people were relatively nice. And, it's like, hey, you're going to cross the street? Well, make sure you look left and right so that you make sure there are no cars coming. And then, you don't see any cars coming, you can cross the street. It's just good safety protocol. Now it's like, if you're going to cross the street, make sure you look left and right for cars or you will die or end up in the hospital. It bugs me so much. So we'll start off with cars. Oh my goodness, people. When I was 16, when I took driver's ed, I didn't pass the road test, so I just have to go get my learner's permit again, take it down at the DMV, and I should be good to go, which I'll be getting in the next couple of months. And then I'll be getting my mom's old 2005 hybrid. I love that car. Honda Civic. So back then it was okay. Excuse me, I got hiccups and burps. So, what am I thinking of? There was something interesting about driver's ed. So, I don't want to say names here. If you're from around the area, you think you might know these people, feel free to ask me. I'll find a way to send you a personal message. But I had an English teacher from my driver's ed teacher. He also taught English down at the high school. And he was a little bit on the cranky side. Not saying you're bad at all, okay? You were a great teacher. You got good lessons across, but some of you guys, if you're from around here, would recognize who that is. And then I heard from other people that the other teacher, I need to get my, I accidentally got 2 bags from the dollar store where I work. One of them was stuck on. I need to get my light out so that people can see me. So I heard that the other teacher was the football coach. And so the big difference is the football coach didn't give out homework. Well, the English teacher did. And one second while I get my light out here. So, yeah, the English teacher did give out homework. That was my first, that was my first real experience with homework, because I'm homeschooled, and so, there wasn't a lot of deadlines, and my mom was always, busy helping take care of me and my dad, who was stuck in a wheelchair with multiple sclerosis, or MS. So, that was my first, real experience with homework. And, I didn't like it, but I wouldn't trade that homework experience for the non-homework one any day. Because there was one assignment that I loved that I would have missed out on had I not gotten the homework assignment. And, if either of you two teachers are still there and happen to see this, maybe consider putting this on, the football coach. Maybe you should consider putting this on as an optional homework assignment, because I thought it was fun. So, the assignment was to go out onto a street corner and with your piece of paper anywhere along Center Street here in Orem, which is what I'm walking along now. And you were supposed to mark down the mistakes that people made. You had a bunch of common mistakes on the list, and then you also had an other box there, and I don't remember everything possible on the list, but the biggest mistake that people would make is not turning on their blinker when turning. Right or left turns. I even saw a few cops do that. They forgot to turn on their blinker. But back then, let's see, when was it? So I'm 23. As of, we'll say last year, so I'm going to be turning 24 in April. But so, not for turning 24, for math and like where do I start counting? So last year, we'll say, is when I officially turned 23. So, let's see, 23, 21, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. So 7 years. Oh, this will be easy. Because, so, 2010. I was 16 in 2010, if I did my math right. Because last year was 2017. And I wish I was a little bit better at math. But that's back when this was taking place. The biggest mistake that I saw was, and I put this in my other box in my horrible handwriting. There was an elderly couple. They pulled forward up to the light. The light back there, that is 400 North. Got to be careful not to give away where I live. I should be safe so far. But so they pulled into the straight lane. And then they were like, actually we want to turn left. So they went in reverse for half a block and then pulled into the turn lane. Thankfully nobody was behind them, but that's not something you do. If there's someone wanting to cross the street on a bicycle or just walking, if you look behind you and there's nobody back there, you can back up you can back up a couple of inches, maybe a foot, to give them room to enter the crosswalk. That's okay. Or if there is someone behind you and it is possible for you to back up, although very probably not possible if there's somebody behind you, but if you can back up, great. But this was no. That was back then. Things have gotten a lot worse. Like, I was talking with a guy the other day because I was helping my friend's parents move, and he mentioned that, like, they used to play in the street, on Main Street. 1 second. Nope. Thought I saw someone I recognized, but nope. Anyways, they used to play in the street on Main Street, but now you can't. And he said now it's kind of not even safe on the sidewalk. Well, I totally agree. Oh boy. Seriously, people, you guys need to slow down and be in less of a hurry. I have gotten hit 2 times on my bicycle. Well, one time wasn't a complete hit. Okay, so it wasn't completely hit. But total, 3 times. The first time, this lady was going like 25, and back then I kind of wasn't completely smart, and so I took the blame. And my mom went and asked them if they'd be willing to cover bike repairs, but they said, well, he told the police that, it was his fault, and so they didn't give us bike repairs. And for me, I was kind of okay with that. I did feel like it was my fault, but my mom says you don't immediately take the blame unless it really was your fault, and that makes sense. And it kind of was her fault too. I should have looked, but still, she was going 25 miles an hour, and she was only going to stop as soon as she was right up to the very edge of the spot where you would look for cars, not people. That's the biggest problem. One of the biggest problems is, for a long time this was a big problem, but then things got worse and more problems came into how people drive. But seriously, no, like, I'm gonna find a street in a moment and give you guys an example here, because you're supposed to pull up to a certain spot and stop. 100% dead stop. You should not be moving forward even 1 inch an hour. Full stop. Then you look left and you look right for pedestrians. And then, and only then, should you proceed forward to look for other cars on the busy street or whatever other street you're about to merge onto. If you can't see the pedestrians, I will give it to you for just pulling forward far enough that you're already looking for cars anyways, because there are some streets that I walk past where that is the case. There's a big fence there and whatnot, a big tree, and so you kind of have to be that far out to see pedestrians anyways. But if you do see pedestrians or bicycles and you can back up because there's nobody behind you, then back up. Seriously, give them room. Okay? And when you're pulling forward, pull forward cautiously. Don't just be like, I'm going to go full speed and then stop right there. No. Stop where you would supposed to and slowly creep forward far enough to look for cars, that spot, because then you can be carefully looking for pedestrians too. That is the biggest problem. I have had a few people, what's the word? I need to turn this off because I'm not at an intersection. I have had probably 2 people in all of my years of riding my bike around places that have, what's the word? That, maybe 3 that have actually, I'm going to back up so we can cross the street. Thank you so much, because nobody else does it. Seriously. Pedestrians have the right of way. And we pedestrians and bikers, although bikers are supposed to follow rules of the car, which we'll get to that in a minute, but we are not as protected as you are. Okay? Like, if you smack into a pedestrian, they're going to die. Your car's maybe going to get a dent, and that's it. You are probably going to be okay. Unless some weird, creepy, they fly through the windshield thing. A little more damage to your car if you smack into them while on a bike, but still, you're going to be okay, and they're not going to be okay 100% of the time. Well, okay, no. There are some instances where they are okay. I mean, I'm still here from my leg was sore a bit. I was on my way to seminary. I was back then, and my leg was sore. Told the cops I was going home. They told my mom. I don't know if I had I forget if I had my flip on back then or not. I think I did. But yeah, look right there. That car right there. That person was just sitting there, staring left, looking for cars. Wasn't even looking for pedestrians. This is why whenever there's a car at the intersection like that, I will, what's the word? I will always, go behind them. She's moving on now, but I will always go behind them in case they start pulling forward while I'm still walking in front of their vehicle. Pay more attention, please. But, there was a stop sign back here, but not a good example spot. But let me describe it, because there's probably not going to be a good street until I'm time to order my dinner. So they painted a line before the stop sign. That's where you stop, is right at the stop sign. That doesn't work, so they painted another line behind that. This is where you're supposed to stop, thinking that people would probably pull forward a little bit more still, and that didn't work either. Stop before the stop sign. Going to the driver's ed, I learned that if you don't stop before the stop sign or the lines, $80 ticket. Now, unfortunately, there aren't always cops around, and cops have better things to do with their time, sadly. If I was ever to become a cop, that would be my only job. I would not have any training whatsoever to go out on drug busts and all the other stuff that cops do. My only job would be going around and handing out tickets for people doing that. Or I also learned in driver's ed that the crosswalk, it helps school children cross the street. And they have their little stop sign that they hold so that they can help the children cross the street. They have 100% right of way to smack a car with that stop sign if they start doing something crazy. And, because they have 100% right too, They do not have to pay for that ding or that dent. That's your fault. You go get it fixed. And boy, I know I shouldn't be super angry, but there are plenty of people that I would love to give a smack on their car with my stop sign. I don't have one, but it bothers me so much. The reason I'm not riding a bike around right now is because when I was younger, I rode my bike around a lot more. But as I got older, I did it less. I enjoy walking as well, talking with you guys. Nobody's watching right now, but who cares? You'll see it later. But, 1 second. Excuse me. What's the word? I like, I forgot what I was thinking of. But yeah, so I was like, well, I can't ride it at night because I don't have lights. And I'm not going to pay money for lights because I don't ride my bike around that often. Most of my time is spent at home. And then, then eventually my tire ended up getting flat. What happened was kind of funny story. I was, what's the word? Oh, I forgot to turn this on and I'm crossing the intersection. What am I thinking? So I was riding my bike to work, and then I got a little sticker in it. And I didn't think the sticker was deep enough, but not very often do I get things on my bike tires. So I was like, I'll just pull this little sticker weed thing out and be good to go. And then my tire started leaking. And I was like, oh, my tire started leaking. But it started bubbling out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got those special tires with goop inside of them. I'll be good. Finished biking to work, put my bike in the back, and got on work, and then by the time I was done and I was getting on my bike, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this tire goop is 3 years old. So it didn't seal up the hole. But anyways, back to my rant about drivers. Oh, seriously, drivers. So yeah, stop before the stop sign. Look left and right for pedestrians, and then, only then, if there are no pedestrians, can you pull forward and look for cars. And if there's a fence there where you can't see the pedestrians on the sidewalk, you can't see on the sidewalk, I will cut you the benefit of the doubt, just as long as you don't pull forward super fast. And now, back in driver's ed, we learned that bicycles are supposed to ride in the street and follow most of the traffic laws. There's usually bike lanes. If not, just be extra careful. Try and merge into the turn lane if you can. And I'm talking like pedal bicycles, not motorcycles. So, and I would do that for streets, and I still do that when I'm going on streets. I'm going to pull over to the left here for a second to finish my thoughts, and then go get dinner, because I'm almost at Panda Express. But so, and so I would do it for streets, but I wasn't comfortable with riding on Center Street. I should just flip the camera around, shouldn't I? But that's Center Street. Over there, I'm on State, coming up to the corner of State and Center. So I'm just going off a little ways here so I can finish my thoughts, and I'll go get dinner. But so, I would ride the sidewalk. And the reason they don't want you on the sidewalk is because that's for pedestrians. But so then, if I ever came upon a pedestrian while riding on the sidewalk, I would just hop on over onto the grass for a few seconds and ride past them, and everything would be okay. Cool. Excuse me. But now, and I did once ride in the street with my mom, but it is so dangerous now in the street. Do not ride your pedal bicycle in the street. Way too dangerous. Be very cautious when you're crossing roads. The other incident that I had on my bike where I got hit, almost, I was behind us a little ways. What if I do... Nope. That doesn't tilt downward enough. I was on my bike and I was riding past Wiener Schnitzel. And this guy in a big, huge, tall truck, taller, so I'm like 5'2", somewhere around there, okay? Not very tall. At least I think I'm like 5'2". And and then of course normal bicycle height, you know. But his truck, like the top of the hood on his truck came up to my shoulders. He was just pulling out of there really fast in that section there, right in front of Wiener Schnitzel, and he stopped, didn't hit me, but he stopped, and I lost my balance, but I was able to catch my foot on the ground so I didn't fall completely over. I got back up, and I need to find a light source. I don't want to go back to the street. I'll do this. So, there we go, illuminate my face a little bit. So I got back up and I made eye contact with him. I looked at him, gave a thumbs up saying I'm okay, and all he did was this. Then I rode on in front of him and he drove off. He did not say, he didn't mouth I'm sorry, he didn't do anything. He literally did not care that he almost completely killed me with his big, huge truck. Or put me in the hospital or paralyzed me. Seriously, like, in hindsight, I probably should have tapped on his window and asked for an apology or something, or at least say, hey, you almost knocked me over, would you be willing to give me $1? And then I'll call it good. But I didn't. You know, in situations like that, I'm kind of sort of nervous and usually willing just to take the quiet way out, quietly back out. So, horrible. Then the other time that I've been hit is when so I was walking to family home evening with a friend in my singles ward, and we were coming up on an intersection. We were going to cross, and this lady was just out there waiting to turn right, and so he was just barely in her sight. She was looking left. Thankfully she had a teenage son in the passenger seat in the front. So I started crossing as he was there. She started pulling forward a little bit, and he thought that she was just kind of joking with them. And he kind of sort of played along as he kind of dodged out of the way. But she kept going forwards. And so his instinct was, oh my goodness, Caleb. And she bumped me a little bit right as her son yelled. I didn't hear him yell, but he said it pretty loudly in the car, I'm sure, by his expression on his face. And she was stopped instantly, and he rolled down her window and was like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, I wasn't looking, I'm really sorry. Can I take you guys anywhere? Give you a ride anywhere? And he's like, no, we're just up the street. And we were just up the street. Are you sure? You know, I'd be happy to give you a ride. No, it's fine, we're up the street, I'm okay. And so it was sore a little bit later, but it healed pretty quickly. So, but that best lady ever that I've had when I got into an accident. Oh, the first biking incident, though, she did get out of the car and offer to help me, asked if I was okay. She said she was, I think, CNA, like a registered nurse, and she did call the police. That was good. The guy in the truck was absolutely horrible. Now, a few more stories, and then, then I'll go get food and continue as I'm walking the rest of the way home with the other half of this discussion. And some other stories about... Really, guys, you need to slow down. Take something out of your schedule. Oh, what was it? So I've seen some other things, too, that are, like... what else have I seen? So I'm walking, this is on Center Street. I'm not going to say exactly where, but I'm walking along, and all of a sudden I hear... Oh, yeah, that was another story, too. Which I'll save that for part 2. So I'm walking along, and all of a sudden I hear some honking, and I look over to see that there is this car that's working to turn left in the city center park, and this other car coming up behind them, going faster than the speed limit by a little bit. They had to slow down for this car. The car that was turning into the park, they were putting on their blinker and turning at just the right moment. They weren't being extra slow or cautious or anything weird. They were doing what you're supposed to do. Perfect timing, turn blinker, going the speed limit, pulling into the turn lane. As soon as they were out of the way, this car sped up and got up to the speed they were going again. And then at this point, they were, Then they caught up to another car in front of them and started again honking, and again had to slow down and go the speed the other car was going, which happened to be the speed limit of 35. Thank you, car in front. Okay, so, well, this does bug me. I do recognize there is a possibility that they could have been rushing to something important. Although not completely likely, because the direction they're going, they were heading east. There aren't any hospitals down that way. There is an animal hospital, but you shouldn't be in a hurry to get your animal out of the hospital. Maybe they were racing to the hospital, but I don't think that was very likely. I didn't see any animals in the hospital. There's no human hospitals down that direction. That is that's not a good way to get to the hospital, nearby the Provo Hospital. So that leaves their house being on fire or something like that. I didn't see anybody's house on fire. I didn't smell any smoke. The only other thing I can think of, and this is extremely absurd, but the only other thing I can think of is that someone in that car was pregnant and giving birth, and they were racing home because they were going to have a home birth. Not very likely again either. It didn't look like that, although I didn't see who was in this black SUV. So there's not very many good reasons for why they'd be speeding that way, other than they were just in a hurry for something. And, well, the reasons that I listed there are good reasons to be in a hurry, except for maybe the house on fire one. Because I understand it's your property. I understand you want to get there quickly and see the damage when someone calls you and says it's on fire and the firemen are here. But think about this. What are you going to do? You're going to get there and start crying when you see everything in flames. Maybe they'll save it. Maybe they won't. I don't know the outcome of your house on fire, but there's not really a whole lot that you can do. You can't help the firemen. You got to just be patient and wait. Maybe your kids were home and your house was on fire, and so you needed to go race to their comfort. But even then, basically there's no good reason for it. I think that it was completely, stupid, and why. And drivers are just getting more dangerous in general, and go the speed limit, okay? I've heard from people that, it was back in culinary school, something like, yeah, you know that they really just set the speed limit of 35 because people are going to go a little over the speed limit always, and so the speed limit is really 40. No, the speed limit is not really 40. The speed limit is exactly what is printed on the sign. There is a margin of error because cars don't read exactly accurate. If you're really good, you will find out what your margin of error is. You will use maybe your phone or some other GPS tracker to tell you how fast you're going, a speed limit sign or something, and then mark your margin of error so you know. So they do have a little bit of margin of error within some degrees. I don't know how many because cars don't read accurately, but if it says 35, you are supposed to go 35, not 40. Too many people I've seen speeding in neighborhoods. In fact, the other day, I even yelled, slow down. This guy was speeding through a neighborhood that's 25 miles an hour. And I know there were kids in that neighborhood. Seriously, that's where it is most dangerous. Go the speed limit. That is what you are supposed to do. Not over at all. If you know your margin of error, don't even go a little bit over. If you know that you have to be, I think my mom's new hybrid she got from my stepdad, Honda Civic, I think she said if she wants to go 25, then she needs to read 27 on the speedometer. So if you know your number, go the actual speed limit based on your number. Don't be like, oh, well, they give for margin of error. No, don't use that margin of error. That gray space is only there because not everybody knows the number. Not all cars read accurately. It's not for you to use up and go a little bit faster. Oh boy. So I'm going to go get some food, and when we come back to part 2, we'll be pretty much done with cars, unless I think of another example. But I've got a few other stories and talk about some things that I would like you guys to do to help slow down, go slower. Seriously. This is something that really, really bugs me a lot. And I'm going to say right now, in case you don't see part 2, I'm a really nice guy. I forgive you guys. Please work to be better. I'm not going to forgive you if you keep doing the offense. Sort of. I mean, it's it's kind of sort of like when you're in a bad relationship. So you're a nice person and you forgive them, but you don't invite them back into your life because you know it's just going to happen all over again. It's kind of sort of like that, okay? So I forgive you, I kind of don't forgive you. Don't do anything crazy while you're driving. So yeah, go get some food and we'll come back to this very ranty Let's Talk. Ugh.